Right. So yes, as you say, these are all kind of aspects in which you excel compared to your competitors. Transparency, even just like without even speaking with you guys, we went on your website, we saw a list of projects. Each one of the projects had a lot of detail to it that was openly available. No NDAs or anything. We had previously signed a couple of NDAs for some of the other regional centers that we were in touch with. Just for basic information, we saw the details, we saw the transparency, we saw that you have nice portfolio where you have several different types of projects in different locations around the country. And then once we started the dialogue with you, so we saw that you very freely provide us with answers, provide us with information that we need. Everything was readily available. We weren't told to, wait for a few more months because there's another project around the corner. No, everything was at hand. Everything was available. And we felt that it was up to us, that the ball's in our court, that we can move forward at our leisure. And we have somebody on the other side which is ready to go, which was important to us, and was not necessarily the case with the other regional centers that we were in touch with or had been in touch with.
The EB5AN's were very transparent. One of the most important thing was you looked at who are the promoters, who are the people behind. They were all highly educated, very very good background, excellent pedigree, and all that translated when we interacted. For example, Sam and even his colleagues, when we interacted, very professional, and they were open. They were able to share what all can be shared, and they were able to give us opinions. They also have excellent repository of data, so we could look into a lot of the data, even including testimonials, including different projects. Even the Dropbox gave all the information. They gave everything up front, subscription product, and everything they had seen in advance. And so at every stage, we had any doubt, we could call, and that was answerable. So, and most important thing is that Sam had clearly went. I was all through asking how is the project doing, how they've sold, everything. So he used to get reports. Okay, last month they sold this month sold this. So these are something which means that they are in track of how it was doing, and all that made a very big difference in terms of building the confidence. So that's the reason why EB5AN's what we chose was fantastic, and I would anyway recommend. It's very important. One important point is that there was one of the other regional center recommended me the energy project, but the problem is that it is dependent on purely incentive. They never said a negative, despite me asking. I had several rounds. Finally, I had to tell them this is the issue. They agreed. They never told openly. So that is dangerous, because ultimately we are here a lifetime savings, and savings are there, and we need to get a green card and ensure a capital is safe. And here is the Windows Center, which was transparent, was open. And in fact, Sam was clear. There were guarantees, but we'll help you to select. That's what we'll help you to take a decision. You have to take a decision. So that was very good. On the other hand, there's the other ones. You do this. This is very good for you. And most important thing is that they didn't tell the fact that it is fully based on the government incentive. And finally, when the reason I'm not going with it, they accepted, yes, don't tell others. Is what they said. So that's why EB5AN's is one of the best among the 8 or 10 we evaluated. We looked at the ranking, and based on that only went with. And we found we're very comfortable, we're happy, and that's where we are.
I can start. So we went and spoke to more than 6 or 7 regional centers in total. The biggest difference we saw was, number one, was transparency. With EB5AN's, all the documentation was black and white. Every number or every metric that we needed was provided. I think the response rate is very high and very quick. Like the turnaround times are very low, so we can get our questions answered very quickly. The second thing was that EB5AN has adopted more of an educational approach. The EB5 process in general is not very widely known, at least in the community that we come from. And so going through that educational process, maybe even taking some of the pointers that we learned through EB5AN and going and asking different regional centers was very helpful for us to gather our information and do our due diligence in the process as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we have been very grateful that we came across EB5AN through our own research. So the standard, the benchmark that you guys have put it in the industry is definitely incredible, I would say, applause worthy, because that gives us a lot of confidence dealing with people, number one. And second thing is, if you have that trust, then you are not worrying about what's going to happen with your money either. Now, EB5AN, the founders, Sam and Mike, they have a great educational background, number one. They have a great professional experience. That counts a lot. And third thing is, the metrics or the important information key pieces that EB5AN focuses on was not seen in other regional centers. That was one of the key differentiator among like EB5AN and other regional centers. So I can go and keep going with all the great things that you guys have been doing and you're planning to do. But I guess EB5AN, the 6 or 8 months of conversation or the exposure that we got was more than enough for us to take a pause and just go ahead with EB5AN.
Also, the ongoing information. So even as you're doing your due diligence, if you are subscribed to the EB5AN emails, you get updated on what are the trends, what's changing, even the hike in fee that happened very recently. The first we heard of it was through an email that your team had sent out. So even knowing what's going on in the industry, even if you are talking to other regional centers, it helps you ask the right questions so you can get all the information that you need to make an informed.
Absolutely. Your application has gone or you have received EAD or AP, I didn't see EB5AN going or missing out of the picture. They are still in the picture. They are still there to help you, give you information. And as Aishi mentioned, through the newsletter, we are up to date with all the new policies and regulations. And that information, or even the conditional or unconditional green card processing from the beginning, so that there are no surprises that we are facing here down the road or so.
Big difference, actually. So what I found was anyone who visits EB5AN or has interacted with your team will be able to instantly tell like the amount of detail oriented like documentation, information on the YouTube channel, on the page, the responsiveness of the emails is really great. I did not see that kind of response. I mean, they were all responsive. When I'm talking about other regional centers, they were all responsive, but I never got that same amount of detail and responsiveness from any of them. In fact, even some of the prospectus documents which were sent seemed to be lacking a few details. And I had to kind of ask again for them. And in some cases, they weren't even available, and that's fine. But I think in some cases, they weren't even able to tell when they'd be able to get them. So I found that when I reached out, so even within EB5AN, there were a couple of projects I was looking at. And when I asked your team, I work with Jordan and Dyrang from your team, so they were very responsive. I always got like any question that I had, I was able to communicate through multiple channels like email or WhatsApp and always get a reply back or always have a clarification answered. And in some cases, some of the questions that I asked never even got a reply from other regional centers. That was important to me, and I thought that was a big differentiator, really.
Yeah, I'll say EB5AM definitely did a great job in terms of transparency for all these data. You know, how many jobs are created, how many funds have been invested into this project. You can simply find on EB5AM's website. Compared to other regional centers, they will probably provide you with the same information if you ask, but it's not like you can, you know, simply go to EB5AM's website and look at the very up-to-date data there. Yeah, the investor memo is the one key document in making an EB5 investment. It's an equivalent of a prospectus if you're buying shares from a company that goes to IPO. So this is the one most important document that contains all of the key information associated with this project. So I'd say the structure of the funds, the risk factors, when and how you're going to be repaid from the loan. So these are the key factors in the memo, and you have to read it as an investor, as it provides all the most important information in there. Having read several different memos and talked to people, and I think that the memos and the projects from EB5AM, they tend to have reasonable terms. I've seen some sort of unreasonable terms in other contracts and from other memos, which I'm not going to disclose, but from my perspective, and considering all the different factors that I think that the investor memos from EB5AM tend to be more balanced, more reasonable, and friendlier to investor.
So I'd say that the team was extremely smooth. Everybody knew exactly what they were doing. It was clearly an experienced team, and clearly a team that had been through this process a number of times without glitch. So without any sort of hitches or glitches. So it was very, very smooth. No problem with it. I like the upfront nature of the team. Everything was very clear. You know, the means of communication were very responsive. Documents were transferred immediately. It was for me a very clean and smooth process with people that knew what they were talking about and knew what they were doing. Yeah, I'd say it was. So I'd say the main difference was the other regional centres. They were large, sprawling companies with really no point of ownership that you could contact, and I felt like a lot of the time we were speaking to salespeople as opposed to principals of the regional centres. Personally, if I'm investing that amount of money, I want to speak to the person that's in charge, and I don't want to speak to a salesperson. I felt almost every single other regional centre we were speaking to salespeople who were generally incentivized differently to the actual principals of the regional centres. So for us, that was a critical difference, that throughout the process I was speaking to a partner of the regional centre as opposed to a person that was employed by the regional centre. So that was the biggest difference, and that made a great deal of difference at the point that we were choosing who to go with.